What's the most WTF way you've seen someone brag about being rich? My dad had a better story than any I have. Basically, when he was growing up, one kid he went to school with and lived near was rich. This kid wasn't averse to announcing it too. But his favorite way of displaying it was with new trinkets toys. So one day, he emerges into daylight with a brand new and quite fancy skateboard. This is early on, when skateboards weren't yet associated with names like Tony Hawk and so on. After trying for all but 30-40 minutes and not being able to land a single trick, the doucher gets fed up, picks up the skateboard, and hurls it into a wooded area off the road. As he does this, he screams, "Fight for it, peasants." There's a guy in my group who can't stop talking about how awesome it is that his rich mom pays for everything for him. The funniest thing to watch is when he's hitting on our waitress, because he always hits on the waitress every time we go out and the check comes. And he proudly tells her that his bill is going on his mom's credit card. Oh yeah. Dude, you're really going to impress her with that one. I had a guy come into the GameStop I used to work at that would tell stories about throwing money off balconies. He went to buy this game once, and after I told him the total, he pulled out an absurd wad of 100s and counted them all out on my counter. After reaching $7,000, he then asks, "Wait, how much was it again?" Blank stare. $18. Duck you. Tish. In middle school I knew a kid who claimed he was so rich that raccoons didn't come on his property. It wasn't that they paid for fences or anything. No. The raccoons just knew. TLDR kid claimed raccoons only visit the poor. I'm so pissed at my mom. I mean, it's my 16th birthday, not hers. I should be able to get the BMW if I want it. She just keeps pushing the Mercedes on me though. I am going to be so mad if my birthday rolls around and the Mercedes is out front. It felt like I was in a MTV show. I wanted to throw up. Scanning receipts for some very expensive purchases and making an album of all of them on Facebook. I was bumped up to first class on my way home from a trip. I've never been in first class and assumed it was just better seats and food options, but no. I was suddenly treated differently, as if I had suddenly become more important than everyone else on the plane. I especially remember at the end of the flight when first class was unloading. My bags were still in the back of the plane, so I didn't get up right away and was planning on waiting for everyone to get off before me. The flight attendants offered to make everyone make way for me to get to the back of the plane, get my bags, and get off. I told her that I didn't want to inconvenience everyone, and she responded, "Maybe they are the ones inconveniencing you." This statement took me by surprise. Is this really the way rich people think? Perhaps not the most WTF story ever, but it was shocking for me. Every time someone says anything to my cousin about her stuff, she has to make a point to tell you how much it costs. For example, "You, wow, nice house." My cousin, "Thanks, it was $5 million. You, I like your shoes." My cousin, "Thanks, they were $2,500. You, nice nose." My cousin, "Thanks, it was $20,000. My ex is a very successful lawyer with his own firm. After I would cook dinner for us, we would sit at the large dining room table and he would make a point to sit at the opposite end, 12 feet away. I would comment about it, saying I wish he would sit closer while just the two of us ate. He would reply, "You obviously wouldn't understand, but this is how rich people eat." He also left price tags on everything he would purchase for his house, face up, so everyone could see his ugly $12,000 lamp. My cousin put up a post on Facebook complaining that since her son and husband moved to their new neighborhood, they only ever see Bentleys, Jaguars, Range Rovers and the like driving down the streets. She was complaining that when she and her son now go on walks, they are getting bored of calling out all the same cars, and she wishes that someone would just drive a damn Toyota and make our walks interesting. Man, this sucks. Although I did get a $100 tip for getting his dad a cup of coffee and him a Monster. Kids of all types can be assholes. You don't have to be a rich kid to be a self-entitled ass. This may never reach top of comments. But I have a friend who's overly modest of how rich he is. Not exactly what you guys were looking for. But I'll share. His father's a CFO of a multi-million-dollar advertising corporation and is the nicest guy in the world. They held Yamaha as a client for 20 years, if that gives a good idea of how well off they were. Lives in a giant house in the nicest part of Orange County. 3 stories. And he and his brother both got the newest line Dodge Chargers when they both turned 16. Not to mention, they go to Hawaii and own homes on the main island. To add it all up, they just happen to be personal family friends with the lead singer of One Republic, so I've been told. So, he never talks of his wealth, but always treats us out to hockey games, season tickets to the Lakers games, and whatnot. One day, we're all hanging out at my house one day and we're talking about the housing industry. We mention his house and crack a few jokes about how nice it is and we would sell our families to live there. He says, "Oh come on guys. My family's not rich." His dad calls him 3 minutes later and on speakerphone we hear, "Hey son. Just got the new 2013 5 Series BMW for you. Mom. And ME. Bring your friends to test it out." Silence. "Well maybe we have a little money to spend." A friend paid for dinner the other night saying I'm about to drop $250 to cover everyone's tabs. Loudly and repeatedly. He then yelled, "This bill is nothing to me. I just got a huge check from my company. I ducking love being rich." He is also on Reddit and follows my comments. So now he knows that we all know. Edit, I'd write down his username for you all. But I forgot my pen. From my experience, people that actually have money or come from money do not talk about it. It's those with fleeting wealth that brag. Was at a fancy bar. Maybe I was too blue collar for the crowd. Whatever. Having a good time with my friends. When we were talking cars and I pronounced the make Jaguar. Douchebag on the next stool takes the time to lean over and say it's pronounced Jaguar. Friends were quiet. They knew me. Turned to the duck and said, "I don't think I give a shit." Snickers abound. Continued having my good time. I went to a bar at school with my fiancée and some friends. We sat near a guy and a girl on a first date. The girl, on numerous occasions, actually complained about various vacations she went on with her family. Like the guy would mention something. She would bring up how something similar happened when she went to X. And then would make a negative comment about the trip or the location. I could hear most of this because she was so ducking loud. By the time we left, the guy was visibly checking other girls out and genuinely not listening to her at all. I used to help tutor a self-described rich kid. One time he had just purchased a new car. I believe it was an Audi something or other. We were out for drinks with my other friend, who was a corporate lawyer. My lawyer friend was by no means poor. So the chat with the Audi made the mistake of rubbing it in my face that he had a new car. He said something like, "Well, if you keep tutoring successful people like me, maybe one day you too could have something nice." My lawyer buddy just started laughing. He then said, "Get ducked, you shitty mama's boy. My dad owns the dealership you got that shit car from. It's financed. Unlike my Escalade, which I paid for in cash. Maybe if you keep studying, one day you won't have monthly payments. Like a ducking commoner." I guess my lawyer friend was sticking up for me. Meh. It's the thought that counts. This kid in my high school got a Porsche 911 the day he got his permit. He was chauffeured to school in it every day for the next 6 months by his personal driver when he got his license. He drove it for like 3 months and then complained about having to downgrade to a BMW M5 because it handled snow better. Full stop. Reading this thread, I'm getting a better understanding of why history is dotted with incidents of very poor people brutally murdering very rich people. Working as a cashier. A customer brought items up but told me to wait for his girlfriend. His girlfriend, about 10-20 years younger than him, had flowers. He exclaims, "You're going to get dirt on the BMW seats." He then turns to me and says, "I drive a BMW 745i. Don't care." Next, I ask if he would like to pay cash, credit, or debit. He takes out his card, taps it on the counter to show it is not plastic but metal, ooh fancy, and says, "American Express, black." Whoop-de-doo. You drive a BMW 7 Series and have a black card. You have a large credit limit and a luxury sedan. A kid I knew really wanted a PS2 and there was this rich kid who knew this and bought 2 PS2s and smashed one in front of the kid who had wanted one. I saw a guy who made a small arcade in his garage with his father. And so this rich asshole rubbed it in by one-upping him with an arcade basement. Nearly 3x the games. Completely furnished with a bar and alcohol. Bragging in a snooty way. Just a few weeks ago one of my friends posted that he bought a horse to go along with the amount of property he has. Now he is posting about how the horse has gas, grazing too much, and he is scared to try to go near it. I'm about ready to call animal control anonymously, fearing that it is being neglected by a grown man that wanted a pony. And got one. Saw a white boy at a movie theater with some skanky looking girl that he was trying to impress. Walks up and orders a $7 popcorn. Hands the lady a $100 bill. She just looks at him and says, "You have anything smaller?" He pauses for a sec. And says, "Yeah. I guess," and proceeds to hand her one of the tens in his wallet. I used to bounce at a bar on Sunset BL here in LA. My friends took me out clubbing on one of my nights off. I had a day job too. We went to a bar on Sunset right next door to the bar I worked at. I was friendly with their bouncers and had helped them out a couple of nights when they needed help. The owner was a cool old vet and was going to let everyone in for free. As this is going on, a limo pulls up and let's just say some Middle Eastern douchebags start pushing my friends out of the way. These guys were drunk as hell and talking trash to anyone who got in their way. They were the security and friends for the knucklehead, now telling my friends to, and I quote, "Get out of my way, you stupid Americans." Now I was in the service. And so were most of my friends. The owner of the bar looks me straight in the eye and says, "Remove this trash for me, will ya?" The looks on their faces was priceless. These guys were used to pushing people around. It wasn't pretty for them. We walked into the bar, drank for free in the VIP with the owner, and when the cops got there they went to jail. Best night ever. P.S. These same guys also tried to get into the bar I worked at a couple months later. My boss, who I told the whole story to, was standing next to me when these guys pulled the same sheet walking up to the front door. I just leaned over to my boss and said, "It's them." He started laughing and told them we were full up. The whole time we were letting people in the club. The guy starts throwing a hissy fit. My boss said, "That's right. We got enough douchebags in there already." All their faces dropped. Never saw them again. My friend asked another friend why does he always carry so much cash on him, over $2,000 on a random Thursday night, to which he replied, "You never know when you'll have to buy a car." Yes. The guy was dickhead. A friend overheard the following in a Dallas bar after her friend turned down some frat boys. "Doesn't she know my trust fund is bigger than her clit?" I'll take the most expensive thing on the menu. Lobster. Stuffed with tacos. My ex-roommate's parents are millionaires. The wife is an alcoholic biologist. And the husband is a pill-popping doctor that's been banned from practicing at our local hospital. So he runs a private practice out of his house. My roommate would flaunt the money by spending hundreds a night at the strip club on drinks, etc. For her 20th birthday, her parents got her lap and surgery and constantly bragged about it. On my first date, my now ex told me that his past girlfriends loved bragging about how rich he was. He was indeed rich, but a cheating asshole who's not worth a penny. That picture of Drake at a club where he is has a box of bills and keep grabbing packs of them to make it rain. So's parent mentioned her and her BF were going to get a bigger plane so she can fly and visit us when we move across the state for school. So and I will be living extremely meager, as usual. It's whatever, in an apartment or mobile home, and this itch is talking about airplanes. She also told us to enjoy the carefree college life. We both work full time and so has to take out loans for school because he doesn't qualify for financial aid and his parents don't contribute. It's only going to get worse when we transfer for grad school. She also talked down on So's cousin who had to live modestly to put himself through engineering school. I'm embarrassed for her to see our place now and after we move. I wonder what she thinks. Some people just have no grasp on reality. I have a friend who I consider to come from an affluent family and he judges people on how big their house is. Or if he can't see that, how expensive their shoes are.